All right, well, hello there. Today we're with Fiona Winch, and we are going to be discussing the rise and fall of the Rajneesh cult.
I would love to start. So Fiona, tell us, how did the Rajneesh movement start? What was it like? What were their core beliefs?
So in the beginning, the Rajneesh movement started in the 1970s when Rajneesh saw the separation from the Western world to the Eastern world. Like, the Western man is very unattached to his spiritual side, but he's very material based, and the Western man is very modern. They have modern technology. Whereas the Eastern man, they don't have modern technology, but they are very spiritual. And what he wanted to accomplish was to not create a new man, but to reawaken the man so he could have the best of both worlds. So you could have the Western side that is materialistic and modern, and you could also have the Eastern man that is very spiritual. In the beginning, this cult started in Pune, India, and they really practiced a lot of individual freedom, like freedom of sexuality, freedom of, like, there was a lot of free sex, and overall, Rajneesh created an environment where people that were, stressed or people who were being oppressed, they would come to Pune, India and come to Rajneesh's temple, and they would really just find a community where they would be accepted. When I was learning about the entire cult in general, everyone is just very happy to be there. There isn't anyone who's upset at all. Like, that's just the culture of the cult. And I think that created a really good environment for people that drew a lot of people in. And like, you can see the way that the cult progressed, moving from Pune, India to Antelope, Oregon in the US. A lot of the American followers that were in this cult were people that had literally just quit their professions and dropped everything and moved to Pune, India so they could be more spiritual.
Right, so how do you think they kept these people in the cults? How did they keep them interested?
I mean, I think just providing a sense of community and a sense where they were accepted no matter what. Everyone was viewed equally within the cult, and everything was very positive. It was just a good environment. Like, when I was doing research, I was thinking, even with all the corruptions that had happened at this cult that led to its fall, the cult overall did seem to have like a lot of glittering generalities, and it drew my attention a lot.
Wow, that's very interesting. What does the timeline of this cult look like?
It started in the early 1970s, and from the early 1970s till about 1981, the cult was in Pune, India, and then in 1981, they decided, our following is growing bigger, we need to relocate, we need to get out of India, and then they found land in the U.S., in Antelope, Oregon, and so in 1985, they partook in the biggest immigration fraud in U.S. history. They flew like 10,000 people to the U.S. from Pune, India over the span of a year. And then in 1985, that was when the cult kind of collapsed because the leaders had left, the main leaders, which were Sheila and some of the people that were also high up in the government of this cult. They had left because they were receiving a lot of criminal conspiracies. And Sheila herself, she cared a lot about how the U.S. media viewed her, and she kind of just went off the deep end. And there were so many criminal conspiracies of just a lot of bad things that Sheila had organized for the cult. Like, they partook in the biggest bio-terrorist attack in U.S. history where they poisoned antelope salad bars. Many people got sick from that. And that specific reference of a criminal conspiracy along with everything else kind of just led to the media turning on them. And then Sheila was fed up with that, and she was fed up with Rajneesh, so she left in 1985. And then Rajneesh moved back to Pune, India. He died in 1990 at the age of 58.
When the group was still active, how were they able to keep people in the group?
It was all just personal choice. It wasn't like anyone was being forced to be in the group. I think that it was just better. The group really wasn't bad in general. The cult, the values that they practiced, in my opinion, I do not think it was a corrupt cult. The corruption came from the leaders, and the jealousy that Sheila had when it came to her relation to Rajneesh, and the power dynamics of the cult, and obviously what she felt from the United States media because of the leaders, because of Sheila organizing bomb threats and organizing salmonella poisonings and all the other corrupt things that she had organized, that led to the downfall of the cult. But overall, Rajneesh was not a bad dude. He told everyone, be yourself, practice what you want to practice. He gave a lot of free reign to these people, and he set up an environment where people were comforted, people were accepted, where if they were anywhere else, they wouldn't receive that treatment. And that's what drew a lot of people to be in the cult.